Alrighty folks, so welcome back to the channel. My name is Brandon, and we're going to kind of go over the equipment rental business here for you guys that are wanting an update. We'll just kind of take a look at our equipment for the year, and we'll see how many hours are on it, and I'll give you guys kind of some details here about what rented the most and roughly how much money I made for the year off of just renting equipment out and delivery fees. Okay, so here's the little Kubota BX23S that I bought. I believe I bought it at the end of June or the beginning of July, something like that. I'd have to look to be 100% sure, but it's got the loader, got the quick attach on the front. I got the bucket and the forks with it, and I got the rear tires loaded, and we got the little backhoe on that and the adjustable thumb that pins right there. Got a 12-inch bucket on there, and also got these other little pads that come on the backhoe here. I can't think of the name of those now, but I got the rubber ones down there for like setting the outriggers down on concrete and whatnot. And we also got the 3-point hitch and a box down there. It's all brand new stuff. I haven't ever had it on the little Kubota yet. I don't rent it out with any 3-point hitch attachments. I may later on, but right now I don't have anything for the 3-point hitch. But the little Kubota BX23S here, we bought it brand new, so it had like 0 or 1 hour on it or something. I don't know what it was. Maybe not quite 1 hour, but now we're up to like 92 hours on that. Now, as far as like damages and stuff done to my equipment, I've been pretty fortunate so far. Now, I have had one incident. A guy, he rented my little BX and he bent my bumper. And he ran something into the bumper. I do believe it was like right here. And he kind of shoved the whole thing over, which I got it bent back pretty much darn near. You can't even hardly tell that it was bent, really. I mean, it looks pretty good, pretty factory, right? But yeah, that was pretty bad. The guy said he needed to move some dog boxes or something and a dog kennel. And I don't know how he did it, but he must have had the boom or the bucket up in the air, and he must have been shoving something with the bumper. I don't know. But yeah, other than that, I've been pretty lucky. Here's the old Kubota U17, the Mini we bought to start out with. Got this thing new, a little bit dirty right now, but that's all right. The people I rent it to, they was using it at their new house site, so they didn't really have a way to wash it off. He said he tried to. He had a little pump. I don't know if he was sticking it down in a creek and pumping water out, but he said his battery died. But guy didn't really put a whole lot of hours on it, so we ain't charging for a dirty machine or nothing like that. He paid for a full day in delivery. But the U17 doesn't look bad. It's still pretty good shape. I mean, it doesn't have a whole lot of damage. It's got 153 hours on it now from the time we bought it in June, with no hours on it basically. And I haven't had anybody do any damages to it at all, really. The only thing I seen was up there on the seat. I picked it up at night, so I try to look at my stuff. I try to look it over real good whenever I pick it up, but a lot of times I'm picking it up in the dark at this time of year. But I didn't catch that seat till a few days later. It has some burn marks in it where it looks like they must have been smoking a cigarette or something, dropped the ashes down in between their legs or something like that, maybe the cigarette, and it burnt some holes down in the seat. I know if I'm going to rent equipment out, I shouldn't be worried about that at all, because that's probably the least of my worries. And here's some scratch marks right here, if you guys can see. I done those clearing some brush. If you guys want to save some cost starting out, you could probably just buy a used little equipment trailer to haul your equipment on if you don't want to go in debt for a big dump trailer or something. I mean, you could buy a used dump trailer and save money, but if you're really not wanting to spend no money, like say if you're just wanting to start out with some equipment, you can just go buy a small equipment trailer if you're starting out with the small equipment. I bought the dump trailer because I had intentions on renting it out and using it for side jobs a little bit, so it's worked out really well for me. It's rented out a good bit. It's helped pay on it some, but I'd say as much as it's rented out, it's probably not covered its payments itself. But I've used it a good bit on side jobs too. Now here's what I tow with. It's a rough, old, beat up 2002 F-250. It's kind of holding everything together right now. It's it just turned over 200,000 miles, but it's really rusty up underneath the cab and stuff. And I'm gonna have to get something new eventually. So I'll probably run this one for maybe another year, but then after that, I'm gonna have to start looking for a different truck because this one's getting pretty rough shape. Just done some work to it. But I've added some lights up here on my headache rack on both sides for backing in and out of people's driveways at night, because I drop off and pick up a lot at nighttime, so it helps being able to see when you're backing up. I may just end up adding a light bar across the top and maybe do away with them two little lights, but I just needed something quick and easy. I threw those up there, and it's doing the job so far. The BX there is a little bit dirty right now. It's kind of hard to keep the equipment clean this time of year. It seems like everything's just a muddy mess around here, and a lot of times it's too cold to power wash anything. I don't have a hot water pressure washer right now. I'd like to have one so I can cut some of this grease and stuff off here, because it's getting pretty nasty around all my pins and whatnot, where I just grease it up so much. I'm trying to make sure I stay caught up on all my greasing on my equipment. I want to try to make it last as long as I can. So I was just hauling some gravel the other day on my dump trailer, and I came outside and my tire was flat, and I searched all over for the leak. I was spraying soapy water around the bead and stuff, and around the valve stem there, and on the tread. Couldn't find nothing. Then finally I was messing around and I found this nail right here on the sidewall. So I want to get that pulled out of there, and I already had it out, but I'm going to have to break this tire down off this rim, and I'm going to go ahead and put a patch on the inside there, and hopefully it lasts me for a little bit longer. So got to get that fixed because it's still got a little bit of life on it, some tread. I don't really want to necessarily start putting new tires on my dump trailer until I really have to, because what I found is people, when they rent my dump trailer and stuff, usually they don't have their brake trailer brake thing set right in their truck. A lot of times I'll have them turn up too high or whatever, then they might hit their brakes and they'll like skid my tires on my trailer, and they'll put little flat spots on it. So some of my tires, they do have some flat spots on the dump trailer where people rent it, and sometimes they, like I said, they don't have their brakes adjusted right, so they lock them up and put flat spots all over them. So that's one thing you got to deal with, I guess, renting trailers and stuff out. I thought about putting some nicer tires, some like 14 ply tires or something on my dump trailer, but I don't think I'm going to, because they're so much more expensive and people just tear the crap out of them when they're renting it out. So I do think I'm just going to stick with the cheap old 10 ply tires on the dump trailer, and just I'll have a couple spares on hand or something. That way if somebody has blowouts or something, they're just a lot cheaper to change out rather than I believe it's the 14 ply tires. They're a lot nicer tire. They probably don't pick up nails and stuff as bad, but I just don't want people putting flat spots on them expensive tires, because they're like almost twice or three times the price. It's ridiculous how much more they are. So we'll just stick with the cheap ones and keep changing those out, because I can do 2 or 3 tires versus the one when people put flat spots and stuff on them. So I think we'll be better off going that route. But we'll see. So if you guys was interested in like some numbers and stuff on like what I've made for the past few months here, September we made about $1,300. That was just off of rentals and delivery fees. So that covered my payments and my insurance for all my equipment. October was my best month I had since I started renting equipment out. I started back in June of this year, and we made about $2,500 that month. Now, these numbers aren't dead nuts exact. Some of them I rounded up or rounded down, and there might be a few things I'm missing. But October, like I said, that was my best month. And November, I made about $1,100. That didn't quite cover my payments or my insurance. We almost got it there. December was $1,100 also as well. So that's pretty much my numbers there. And I think I was figuring up from June till the end of December, I've made roughly $11,000 off of my rentals and delivery fees. In December and November and September, my most rented item was the little Kubota U17, the little excavator. In October, my most rented item was the backhoe when I made the most. That was my best month, and the backhoe rented out the most in October. Kind of crazy. But my most rented machine, I guess you would say, since I started this in June, was the excavator, and then the backhoe, and then the dump trailer. So the excavator rented out a good bit more, honestly, than the backhoe. The excavator rented out about 10 more times, I guess, than the backhoe. So dump trailer, it only rented out about 7, 8 times. Not real well, but I don't rent it out. I don't rent it out as like a dumpster like some people do. I just let people come pick it up, use it for the day. A lot of people use it to haul firewood in. Some people use it to haul a little bit of gravel and whatnot. Well, I can usually think of all kinds of stuff to say on a video when I'm not filming a video, but when I start trying to make a video, I can't think of anything. But I've tried to read through some of the comments and a little bit and answer you guys the best I can, best I know how. I guess if you guys got any more questions for me, you just leave them down below in the comments, and I'll try to answer them best I can. It might take me a little while to get to the comments to answer them all. I've had some people asking different things about how much it costs to put my thumb on the little Kubota U17 there outside. You can watch my video on that. I think I got a video on putting the thumb, getting it installed and everything, and I believe I got on there how much it cost. It was around $2,700 altogether to get it. All the hoses ran and plumbed up and everything. I've talked to a lot of people, just a bunch of different people asking me all kinds of questions about how much I'm charging and this and that and what they're charging. And usually some people I talk to are charging more than what I charge, but that's because I can't charge as much as some people because of the area I'm in. Some of you guys might be close to a big city or something like that. I'm not. I'm far away from any big city. I'm way in the country, really. That's the way it seems a lot of people talk anyway. My closest city is what you could consider a city, I guess, is about 20 minutes away, and it's got a population of like right around 5,000 people. And kind of if you go the other direction, I got another city that's like 25 minutes away. I'm not real sure on the population of that city there, but I'd say it's a good bit higher, probably. I'd hate to even guess, but I'm going to say maybe 20,000. That might be pushing. That might be a little steep, but that's my guess anyway. Yeah. How a lot of people ask if I have skid steer. So if you guys are getting into the rental business and money is not an issue, people always asking what I think would be good to start out with. I would say probably a skid steer, because a lot of people that are in the excavation business or getting into the excavation business, usually they buy mini excavators because they say you can do a lot more with a mini excavator than you can with a skid steer. So a lot of times they'll rent a skid steer. And I have had a lot of people ask about a skid steer. People wanting to rent a skid steer, mainly one on tracks. So I'm going to hopefully be buying a skid steer this year. It just depends on how everything works out. And it is election year here in the U.S. If you guys ain't from the U.S., and I'd say it's probably going to get pretty crazy this year. It's already kind of starting to get pretty crazy, it seems. And the year has just started. Today is the 1st of January. And all kinds of stuff going on. They're trying to kick a president off the ballot in certain states and all kinds of good stuff. But anyway, what's something I'd do different starting this equipment rental business out, knowing that what I know now? I was going to say I would probably buy a bigger piece of equipment, like a bigger excavator, or possibly even maybe a skid steer. But I was so limited on money. I'm not rich and I didn't have a lot of money to start this up with. I wanted to make sure I didn't go bankrupt right off the bat. So I started out with the little Kubota excavator and the BX. So I think if it was me, if money wasn't an issue, the first thing I would buy would probably be a track skid steer. And then the very second thing I would buy would be a bigger mini excavator, like I'll say if you're looking at Kubota, like a U35 or a P35, would be like a Komatsu or something, or the new John Deeres are like a P35, a G35. I'd buy like a 3.5 ton machine, something right around 8,000 pounds, because what I've heard and people I've talked to said their local rental company or the people that work for this rental company or whatever, they said the 35, 3.5 ton machines, whatever they are the bread and butter. Usually that's what rents out the most. But I was a little bit nervous because that was a big payment for me. And like I said, I didn't want to go bankrupt, but that'd probably be a good machine to buy, is a 3.5 ton excavator. But I think the very first thing I would buy if I had to do over and had plenty of money would be a skid steer on tracks and then an excavator. We might go ahead and yank the bumper off the BX over there, and we'll go ahead and weld the D-ring on it, put that back on there and see what she looks like. Right about there in the center to help tie it down. There's not really a good place to hook up, to chain this thing down or strap it down, whatever you guys may use. I've used a strap a lot and just run it across the back of my bucket or my forks, or sometimes I even run it through the bumper, but my straps kind of get cut up and start ripping and stuff, doing that so many times. So I'm going to go ahead and use that D-ring right there, weld it on that, so that way I can just use a chain and run a chain through it. I don't want to run a chain across my bumper or back there because I'm trying to minimize the scratches a little bit. So I'm trying to keep the paint good, trying to keep the stuff stored inside mostly, and hopefully I can just make it last a long time. I hope you can see this. It's pretty simple, but I'm just going to go ahead and get these 4 bolts loose here and yank this bumper off here, just because it'll be a lot easier to weld on with it just laying on the ground. And my lighting's not real good in the shop here. I was going to go buy me some more lights the other day, but I've been getting those 4-foot LED lights from Real King. They're like $25, just regular old shop lights. I've had about 4 of them in my garage here for, I'd say, 1.5 years, 2 years now. They've been working just fine, so I was going to buy me some more, give me a little more light, but I went there the other day and didn't have any. And I was looking up some other Real Kings too. I even drove to a couple different Real Kings, looking around, see if they had them lights, them shop lights, and they was all out too. So I don't know what the deal is there. I don't know if they discontinued them or what, but it'd be a lot better to have a few more. So I don't think I'm really going to do no measuring here or nothing. You can probably buy these D-rings here. Well, I mean, something you can just bolt right up there already to your bumper, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to go ahead and weld this one on here because it's going to stay. We'll just kind of go ahead and put us a line here and a line here. That way we know about roughly where to grind that up at. We're going to go ahead and knock the paint off of here, at least about where that line is, where I'm going to run my beads for my weld. And then we'll go ahead and clean it up a little bit and slap some paint on there. Got my fancy grinding welding hood here. I'll tell you what, since I started grinding stuff in a welding hood with a clear lens, won't never do it a different way. Sure does keep the crap out of your face. So I got this sanding wheel here. We'll try to kind of grind this paint off here with it. Seems like these sanding wheels kind of fill up with that paint whenever you're grinding paint. They don't work as good. I usually use just like a cutting wheel. Ain't perfect, but it's perfect for what we're doing here. I got this little 140 Hobart. It's just a 110 welder. There's the little welder, the Hobart Handler 140. Great little welder. If you guys have been watching my channel for any time, you probably see me use it quite a bit on a few other little projects. But got the big stick welder. I got an old Lincoln 250 Auto Arc, the old round top. Good welder, but it's just a lot to drag out. All right, guys, I like where that's at pretty. It looks pretty center. Now I'm not getting a tape measure and going to measure it out because it's not going to be perfect. Give you guys a little bit better look at it here. That's what she's going to look like right there. That might be kind of noisy right there. Say if you're doing a lot of work, but you might not really be able to notice it or pay attention to it much because the backhoe will be pretty loud running, so it may not be that big of a deal. If it is, we might just cut some, maybe some like radiator hose or something, and we'll put around it. So there it is, yeah. I think that'll be a nice little toe point too if somebody gets it stuck. So we'll go ahead and clean that up a little bit. My weld's right there, and we'll throw some paint on that. So here's the D-ring on the front of the bumper. I got it all painted up. I used some Kubota orange paint. It'll probably wear off there in no time using a chain to chain down with. It'll be all scratched up, but that's all right. When I was welding, I burnt the paint off the back here, so you can see where I burnt the paint off. We went ahead and painted that up too. So here's the BX bumper back on there with the D-ring. So I think that's going to work out pretty good. Like I said, chaining it down, and maybe if somebody gets stuck and I need to pull off the front, we'll just be able to wrap a chain right around that, yank it out. Well, we'll try to get you guys an upload a little bit sooner this time here, but I've just been so busy and it's been dark when I get home and everything. Right now I've had a few days off of work here with the holidays. So I think we're going to go ahead and wrap this video up here, and hopefully we catch you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching.